This is the story of Nafisa, a poor girl who works as a seamstress in a Nawab's factory for her ailing father and mother. She works hard every day, runs the household, but a storm comes in her life. The factory owner's son, a gluttonous and drunkard, harasses her every day. By his glances while she is working or by stopping her on the way home, he forces her into marriage. Filling her life with difficulties, will Nafisa survive all these troubles? Will her piety and patience bring her victory? Watch the whole story to find out. On the outskirts of the city, where the glow of wealth was spread everywhere, a magnificent palace stood. This was the house of Abdul Rahman, a famous tailor who had made his fortune in the clothes and cotton business. His house was so big and magnificent that the name Sheesh Mahal was on the lips of the people. The walls were decorated with carvings, with sparkling glass and gold leaf, which sparkled in the sun's rays. Inside, soft carpets were laid on the marble floor, which felt like walking on clouds. Each room was a separate world, with large doors made of teak wood carved on them. Furniture that had been imported from foreign countries and chandeliers that shone like moonlight at night. Behind the house was a garden where peacocks spread their wings and danced. Fountains played the melody of water, and the fragrance of flowers was in the air. Abdul Rahman had so much wealth that the people of the city gave him as an example. Hundreds of workers worked in his factory every day, and his business grew day by day with their hard work. He was a kind-hearted man who prayed in the mosque every Friday and distributed alms to the poor. But his son Ammar was not giving up on his hopes. Abdul Rahman's wife, Ammar's mother, was a cheerful woman who took care of every servant in the house, cooked food, and took care of the children with love. They had 2 children, Ammar, a young boy who held every happiness in the world in his hands, but his life was immersed in the whirlpool of entertainment, and his younger sister, Aliyah, who always laughed and loved her brother. She used to help her mother and sometimes played with flowers in the garden. Ammar had a different temperament. He would be busy with entertainment day and night with his friends, wine parties where there were songs and dances all night, galloping fast on horseback through the streets of the city and everything that pleased his heart. His friends were also of the same type, spoiled young men from rich families who considered life one long party. Ammar would wake up late in the morning, hang out with friends all day, and get lost in parties at night. His father's advice would pass through his ears. On the other side of the city, where the dark streets of Grebi were, was a small house made of mud walls. This was Nafisa's house where she lived with her parents. The house had only one room with a small window that let in a little light and a simple mat on the floor. Nafisa's father was a small shopkeeper, but due to his poor health, he was now bedridden. His voice had become weak, and he would pray all day long. Mother was also forced by the illness, who would fight coughs and pains all day long, but would look at her daughter with love. Nafisa was the one in charge of the house. She worked in Abdul Rahman's factory, where she and other girls would sew clothes. She would get up early in the morning to make tea on the small stove in the house. Her mother would feed her father and then go to the factory, and she would always work hard for a halal livelihood. She would sew clothes with her own hands and bring home some money that would only cover her needs. There was the weariness of poverty on his face, but a light of hope in his eyes that praised him for living. The first rays of morning had awakened the city, and Ammar was riding a horse through the streets with his friends. There were cool waves in the air, and the sound of a horse's hoofs echoed in the streets. Ammar's friends were laughing, talking about old stories when their path passed by Abdul Rahman's factory. The sounds of sewing and the talk of workers could be heard from the factory. The smell of cloth colors was in the air. A friend said jokingly, "Ammar, this is your father's factory. Let's take a look inside. Maybe we'll find something interesting. A new face or something else anyway. They've been bored since this morning." Ammar laughed and shook his head. His heart was looking for something new today. "Let's see, anyway. Seeing this world of workers will make you laugh. Tie up the horses outside." They entered through the big door of the factory. As soon as the door opened, the sound of sewing machines and the bustle of workers came into view. The factory was a Buddha hall where workers were working by hand. The sounds of cutting clothes, the smell of colors that was released in the air, and everywhere the workers were immersed in their work. The men's section was separate where they were making clothes. Their hands were moving quickly and talking. The women's section was behind the curtain where the girls were quietly sewing clothes, the sound of their sewing creating a rhythm. Amar looked around. His friends were joking. "Look how hard these people work. We are just having fun." But then his eyes fell on a girl, Nafisa. She was sitting on a small chair, fully focused on her sewing, a red dupatta on her head that slightly covered her face. Her eyes were lowered and her hands were moving so quickly. She was walking as if she were singing a song. There was a strange attraction in her simplicity. Her face was clean and innocent, with a hint of fatigue, but also a light that forced Amar to stop. He stopped, forgetting his horse and watching her sewing. Amar's heart beat. He spoke slowly to his friend. "That girl is different, completely different from the other girls. Look how fast her hands are moving." The friend shrugged and said, "Hey, she's a worker's girl. Leave her alone. Let's go outside. The heat here is unbearable." But Amar's eyes did not move from Nafisa. She was watching the movement of her hands. There was that slight smile on her face that came while working. A stirring occurred in his heart, as if something had touched his heart for the first time. He thought, "This girl is so simple but so beautiful. Why does she look different?" He went to an old worker, Uncle Karim, who was the oldest worker in the factory. His beard was white, and his eyes showed years of experience. Uncle Karim was picking up a bundle of cloth. There were beads of sweat on his face. "Uncle, who is that girl? The one with the red dupatta sitting there?" Amar asked slowly. There was an unknown restlessness in his voice. His heart was beating fast. Uncle Karim looked at him and then smiled as if he understood. "Son, that is Nafisa. The girl from the poorhouse is very hard-working. She comes early every morning, works without any complaints, and goes home in the evening. Her mother, Abu, is the one who runs the house when she is sick. She is a religious girl. She prays and reads the Quran. Sometimes she sits near the mosque and talks to her friends." Amar shook his head, but his eyes did not move from Nafisa. He went back secretly, but after that day his heart changed. He kept thinking all night. Nafisa's face kept wandering in his mind. Her simplicity was embedded in his thoughts. The next day, Amar came to the factory again, alone this time. He stood quietly near the women's section, watching Nafisa. Nafisa felt her sewing speed slow down. A strange fear rose in her heart. She was wondering, why is this boy crying? He is the owner's son, but his eyes look wrong. But she kept looking down, concentrating on her work. Every day this continued. Amar would come in the morning, secretly watching. A strange restlessness would grow and go away in his heart. The people in the factory noticed. The owner's son was crying. He was looking at the girl. But no one said anything. He was the owner's son. Nafisa's friends teased her. While working slowly, "Nafisa, that rich boy looks at you every day. What's the matter? Maybe he has taken a liking to you?" "Look at that smile on his face," Nafisa said shyly and angrily. "Shut up, this is all wrong. I just work and don't think about anything." "He is a luxurious boy. Stay away from him." But inside, she was afraid. Amar's eyes were on her, and she knew that she was addicted to luxury. Every day after work, she would go home early, walking through the streets, looking back in fear. An unknown fear arose in her heart, and Nafisa's heart was restless. A week later, the factory was closed. The sun had set, and there was a slight coolness in the evening air. People were going home in the streets. Nafisa was going home with her friends, but she walked alone through a small dark street to reach quickly. Her friends had gone the other way. The street was deserted. Only the sound of dogs barking could be heard from afar, and Nafisa's steps were fast, adjusting her dupatta on her head. Suddenly a voice came from behind. "Hold it! Nafisa!" There was a familiarity in the voice that forced Nafisa to stop. Her heart pounded. She turned around, trembling. The heartbeat quickened. The hands became cold. It was Ammar. After getting off his horse, his breathing was slightly rapid as if he had come running. There was a strange sparkle in his eyes that was visible even in the darkness, and a restless smile on his face. "You? How do you know me?" Nafisa asked tremblingly. Her voice stopped slightly. A storm of fear was rising in her heart. Ammar came closer and said, "I am Ammar, the son of Abdul Rahman. I see you in the factory every day. Your simplicity, your hard work. I like everything, Nafisa. I like you very much. I want to marry you." There was passion in his words. His eyes were shining. But for Nafisa, it was a shock. Her face turned white. Nafisa's eyes widened. She didn't say anything. She just ran home. Her steps were so fast that the dust of the street was flying. A storm was rising in her heart. When she reached home, she closed the door and cried. Ami asked, but she hid. That night she couldn't sleep. Ammar's face kept spinning in her mind. His words were echoing in her ears. That easygoing boy? Marriage? What was all this? Her heart was full of fear and surprise. She kept tossing and turning on the bed. The next day, Nafisa went to the factory, but her heart was pounding. While working, her eyes kept going towards the door. She was afraid that Ammar would come. She asked her friends, "Will you come with me today?" After finishing work, she was going with her friends, but Ammar stopped her again at the corner of the street. Her horse was tied nearby. He was waiting. "Nafisa, what did you think of yesterday when you didn't answer me?" Ammar asked with a smile, but there was restlessness in her eyes. Her hands were trembling slightly. Nafisa said angrily and fearfully, "I don't like you. I will never marry a boy like you. You indulge in extravagance, drink alcohol, and I am a religious girl. Go away from here, otherwise I will shout." Her voice was trembling. "What a strong decision, my friend. Come here." She was standing there in surprise. Ammar's face lost its color. He was stunned. Rejection. He had never imagined it. His ego provoked him. His heart broke, but he left quietly. He kept thinking all night. Both anger and love were fighting in his heart. He kept turning around on the bed. After Nafisa's refusal, Ammar's mood changed. His ego showed him the way to disturb him. From the next day, he would come to the workshop every day. He would stand next to Nafisa secretly and say slowly, "Nafisa, think for a moment. I will give you every happiness. I will fill your house with wealth." Nafisa would remain silent and focus on sewing, but her hands wanted work. Fear grew in her heart. Her friends would notice. "Nafisa." She came again. "Don't be afraid. We are with you." Nafisa thought, "Why doesn't he understand how scared my heart is?" One evening, Ammar stopped his horse near Nafisa's house. Nafisa's mother saw through the window the boy who used to come here every day. Her mother remembered his appearance. Mom asked Nafisa, "Son, who is this boy? Why does he stay here every day? No one is bothering him." Nafisa stopped and told everyone, "Mom, he is Ammar. The owner's son wants to marry me, but I refused. Now he bothers me every day. He sees me and talks to me." Mom hugged him. "Don't be afraid, trust in Allah. He will protect you. Tomorrow we will talk to Abu." But Nafisa's nights became restless. She would get startled at every sound. She would look out the window of the house. She didn't stop talking here. Both Ammar's anger and love were rising. One evening, Nafisa was going home alone. The sun had set. The street was deserted. Only a dog was barking in the distance. Nafisa's steps were fast. Suddenly, Ammar came in front of her. He held Nafisa's hand. "Nafisa, I really love you. Why don't you understand? Why do I refuse?" There was pain in her voice, but her grip was strong, even with force. Nafisa shouted, "Let me go. Someone help me." Just then, an old laborer who was passing by heard her and came running. "Let me go. What kind of rudeness is this to the girl?" Ammar let go of her hand and ran away. His heart was full of shame, but also anger. Nafisa reached home crying. There was a storm of fear and shame in his heart. He told his mother and cried. Ammar was confused now. He loved Nafisa, but his heart was leading him on the wrong path. Sometimes he would bother her. Sometimes he would secretly send her gifts like a silk scarf that arrived at the factory. The worker gave it to him. Sometimes he would apologize slowly. "Nafisa, forgive me. I was wrong." Nafisa's heart was breaking. She wanted to leave the factory, but the compulsion of the house was holding her back. Nafisa's fear was increasing. She prayed in prayer, "May Allah protect me." One day, a big incident happened. Nafisa was leaving the factory. The sun was setting. People were going home. When Ammar stopped her, "Nafisa, answer me today. Otherwise, I will leave her words unfinished." A fast horse and carriage came towards her. People ran to save her, and Ammar hit her. She fell down on the ground, bleeding. She was crying out in pain. Nafisa saw her heart beating. She stopped. With the help of the workers, she took Ammar to Hakim. His hands were full of blood. She was wondering why I was doing this. He used to bother me, but he is human. Ammar opened his eyes and saw Nafisa at Hakim. "Why did you come here?" he asked in a weak voice. Her face was twisted in pain. Her hands were tied. Nafisa said slowly, "For the sake of humanity, no one can leave a human like this." But inside, her heart was saying something else. Maybe a slight pity. She herself was wondering why she saved Ammar. After the incident, Ammar was on the bed. His body was limp. His hands and feet were tied. The pain was felt with every breath. He kept moaning in pain all night, but his heart was also broken. Nafisa's help was roaming in his mind. Abdul Rahman sat next to him, rubbing his head. "Son, this is a sign from Allah. Change your life. Leave Ayashi. See how much pain he endured. You, Ammar, were lost in thought. Nafisa's refusal. Her worries were all wrong. She thought how much I had hurt her and she still helped me. I was wrong." One night, after Hakim's treatment, she decided that she would go to a 40-day Tablighi Jamaat in a faraway place where she could learn about religion and purify her heart. She said to her father, "Father, I follow the path of Allah. Forgive me. I have made many mistakes. Ayashi ruined my life." Tears came to Abdul Rahman's eyes, but my heart was happy. "Go, son. Allah is with you. This change is better for you." Aliyah cried and hugged her brother. "Brother, come back. I will pray for you." Ammar reached a place where life was simple. Mud houses, minarets of mosques, and people who were engaged in prayer and remembrance. There he wore simple clothes and gave up alcohol. He began to forget the memories of Ayashi. The dawn of dawn, Fajr prayers, religious talks throughout the day, and remembrance at night. His heart gradually began to clear. Now there was a new light in his eyes. He thought that Nafisa was right. There was a great scholar in the village who used to tell stories to the people of the congregation. One night after the dhikr, the elder told a great Islamic story, the story of the conversion of Hazrat Umar bin al-Khattab, R.A. The elder said, "Son, listen to the story of Hazrat Umar. He was a hard-hearted man. He was the leader of the Easterners who troubled the Muslims. One day, he set out with the intention of killing the Prophet, PBUH, but on the way, he heard his sister Fatima and her husband reciting the Quran. The words of the Quran moved his heart. The verses of Surah Taha, he went inside. He heard the Quran and faith came into his heart. He went to the Prophet, accepted Islam, and became the most important person in Islam. They became strong companions. This change happened by the grace of Allah. Just like it can happen to you people today, Ammar heard this story. A solution came to his heart. Just like a change in age, I can also change. He thought that this Rial incident became an example for him. He mentioned it more and more. He asked for forgiveness for his sins. Meanwhile, the days were passing in the factory. Nafisa's friends were talking. While sewing, she didn't see that cheerful boy these days, Sabina said. Smiling, Nafisa stopped sewing and asked, "Why? Where did he go?" Her heart beat slightly. It was curiosity. Fatima told her that he had gone to the congregation for 40 days. Maybe he would change in a while. The accident shook her. Nafisa was surprised. Her eyes widened. Ammar? In the congregation? Her heart started changing slowly. She thought, maybe he really changed. But can I trust him? Every day she thought about him. A slight love awoke, but she was fighting with herself. After 40 days, Ammar returned. Now he was not the same Ammar as before. He had a long beard, a cap on his head, and a modesty in his gait that had never been there before. His face was full of peace. There was a new light in his eyes, as if his heart had been cleansed. He would go to the big mosque of the city every day, pray Fajr prayers in the morning, and recite the Quran throughout the day. He also started taking care of his father's factory. He spoke politely to the workers, took care of their work, and was happy whenever he saw Abdul Rahman. This is my son, who is now choosing the path of truth. One day, Ammar went to the factory. The workers were surprised and looked at him. He was the owner's son. How much he had changed. Ammar secretly went to Nafisa. She was sewing. Her hands were still moving quickly, but there was a slight fear on her face. Ammar said slowly, "Nafisa, I have changed. I have worried you a lot. My sins have hurt you. Forgive me now. I only want to live for Allah, and I love you with all my heart." There was truth in his voice. His eyes were downcast. He was talking from heart to heart. Nafisa looked into his eyes. She saw the light, the truth that was not there before. It was hiding, but her heart was beating. She did not answer. She just bowed her head and went about her work. Ammar left, but her heart was filled with peace. He knew that Nafisa needed time. Ammar's old friends who were still immersed in luxury wanted to pull him back into their world. One evening, when Ammar was leaving the mosque, his friends came to him with a copy of the Quran in their hands. "Ammar, what happened to you? Let's go. Tonight there is a party. There is wine. There is dancing. Come back to your original form." A friend said jokingly. He had a glass of wine in his hand. Ammar bowed his head. "I just left that life. Allah showed me a new path. You too think. This life will end one day." The friends laughed. What kind of a mullah did he become? But Ammar went on his way. The minaret of the mosque. Her heart was strong in the shadow of Nafisa in the factory. One day, while sewing, she asked her friends slowly, "How is Ammar now? He has truly changed." Sabina smiled and said, "Yes, Nafisa, he is completely different now. He goes to the mosque every day, prays the morning prayer, reads the Quran, and also manages the owner's factory. The workers say that he speaks politely now. No frivolity." Fatima added, "Do you remember how he used to bother you? Now he has come to apologize, right?" There was truth in his eyes. Nafisa's heart beat slightly. She started thinking, maybe he has truly changed. Maybe his love is pure now. Days passed. Ammar went to the mosque every day. He held his father's hand in the factory and kept his distance from Nafisa, but his eyes would occasionally look at her. A longing would flare up in her heart. Nafisa would also think about him. She would listen to the words of her friends, and slowly love would awaken in her heart. One day, when she was sitting near the mosque with her friends, she was sitting with her husband. She saw Ammar. He was reading the Quran. His face was full of peace. Nafisa thought, "This is not the Ammar who used to bother me. This is a new person." One evening, Nafisa was leaving the factory. Ammar was there talking to the workers. He saw Nafisa. Nafisa, I know I have hurt you a lot, but now I only want to follow the path of Allah. If you can forgive me, and if your heart says so, I want to marry you. But with the command of Allah, there was a deep truth in his voice. His eyes were downcast. Nafisa saw that light in his eyes, that truth. He smiled softly and said, Ammar, I love you too, but this love should be on the path of Allah. The friends were happy to hear both of them. There were smiles on their faces. Abdul Rahman and Nafisa's parents happily agreed to the marriage. The marriage took place in the mosque. In a simple marriage ceremony, where the Quran was recited and prayers were offered, Ammar and Nafisa. They walked together on the path of Allah. Their lives were filled with love, faith, and peace. If you liked this video, like it, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that new stories reach you first.